Elation is the new path being introduced in Honkai Star Rail version 4.0, which is coming out in a few weeks, and I wanted to talk about some characters that you guys could build if you have them to keep in mind for your Elation team, because in 4.0 we're only getting 2 characters, Sparksy and Yao Guang, so we won't have a full team for them just yet. Before that, I just want to keep in mind damage percent does not work with Elation damage, but vulnerability does affect Elation damage, and defense shred does also work with Elation damage. Also, all type res pen works as well. So keep these in mind when you are selecting characters to invest in for the new upcoming Elation characters. So starting off, I want to introduce my favorite cat girl, Cypher. Cypher is going to be a great character to bring into an initial Elation team because she offers a 40% damage vulnerability just for being on the team, and that is a massive damage increase for Elation because, again, it's increasing how much the damage enemies take, not how much damage is dealt. So it does buff Elation damage, and her skill weakens the enemy, meaning they deal less damage to you, so your allies will be taking less damage. And she has solid personal damage with her skill and her ultimate via her talent tallying damage the party takes, with the team being able to deal a good amount of damage with their AHA instance will help Cypher build up tallies and deal good damage with her ult when you save it for the right moment. Cypher also has great vertical investment, being her light cone that gives 24% defense shred and speed buffs for herself to hit those speed thresholds for her. And then her first Eidolon tallies more damage, meaning you get to build up more tallies and deal more damage with her ult, increasing her personal damage. Cypher is a sub DPS that will allow you to deal more damage by applying vulnerability and shredding the enemy's defense, buffing Elation damage. A good alternative for Cypher would be Pella, because her ult gives 40% defense shred when maxed out, and then if you have her with the resolution shines as pearls of sweat, that can also defense shred 12 to 16 depending on if it is S1 or S5. Following that, we're gonna have Tribby. She's gonna be a great unit for the initial Elation team because she is a team-wide buffer, and that is gonna be extremely valuable because of AHA instances, allowing each Elation character to deal Elation damage with their Elation skill. So buffing the damage that they all deal is great, but it's not that she's buffing the damage, she is giving 24% all type res pen to the team with her skill. So she is very good in SP economy. On top of that, her ultimate zone also increases the damage enemies take by 30%, and again, also another way to buff damage by how much the enemies take. She also has great personal damage with her follow-ups, with her ultimate and her talent, so she's going to be contributing a lot in that aspect as well. Her vertical investment is also extremely solid, just being the general fact of the more you invest into her, the better she gets, and it's by a large margin. But for her E1, it also gives 24% true damage, again buffing, just allowing more damage to be dealt, and it's just really good. Kirby is going to be a great team buffer for the early Elation team because she applies a 24% alt type res pen to the team, and her ultimate increases the damage enemies take. These are great things to keep in mind for Elation for starting out until we get our full team. An alternative that you could run is Ruan-Mei or Mega Cope Yukong. Ruan-Mei's ult gives a 24% alt type res pen and buffs the team's speed, which you're not really worrying about the damage dealt buff with her skill. It's more so just her ult and her talent giving the speed to the team and the alt type res pen. Very valuable. So she is a great free to play option if you choose to get her with that currency you get every anniversary. Yukong, on the other hand, she is definitely a cope pick because she's just not that good, but you could use her because Yukong does give 80% attack buff with her skill, and her ultimate gives 28% crit rate and 65% crit damage. So her buffs are actually extremely good. It's just her uptime is horrendous. You could probably get her to work, but it would be very hard. So definitely Ruan-Mei over Yukong, but she will work if you can make the team kind of revolve around her in that aspect. Next up, we have a sustain that we're going to use for them, which would be our best free-to-play option in the game. Dan Heng Permancer Terra, or Dan PT for short. He benefits Sparksy the most because her converting attack into elation damage. So his bondmate buff that gives attack to the bondmate will affect her the most. So this is kind of specific to Sparksy, but we don't know who comes out in the future if they will also scale with attack. He also does commendable damage for being a sustain, with his Soul Dragon dealing damage that scales off of 80% of Dan's attack and additional damage that scales off of the bondmate by 80% of their attack. Another reason he is going to be a great addition to the team is because he is able to use the Shielder set, which buffs the shield effect by 10% and also buffs all allies crit damage by 15% when having a shield, which with Dan PT, which is almost always, so it's just a great consistent damage buff, because just a reminder, elation damage can crit, so buffing that crit damage is important. And he also has pretty good early investment. His E1 gives skill points and gives bondmate 8% all type res pen. Again, res pen and then skill point economy is going to be great, especially for Sparksy. And then his S1, while not as good as his E1, it does give Dan PT an attack buff by 64% and heals the team, so it gives a little bit better sustainability if you are your shields being broken semi-regularly. But a thing to keep in mind is the damage percent that the light cone gives to the bondmate does not work with elation damage, so you are kind of just losing out on that aspect of his light cone. But nonetheless, buffing your DPS's damage is still quite good, especially with, for now, Sparksy that likes that attack buff, so it's good. But Dan Heng is a great sustain option, especially since he is 100% free to play early on, so at a baseline he is just a very good unit. But if you don't have him or want to save him for your other teams, a good alternative would be Aventurine, who also has amazing shield uptime with his skill, ultimate, and talent, as long as you have his A3. He can also hold the shield set, and then ult also increases the crit damage taken by a single target by 16%. Again, elation damage can crit, so if it's a single target fight, he's gonna be really good in that aspect as well. So just keep that in mind in case you want to, shuffle teams around. Last but not least, we have the obvious meme fun choice of Sparkle being, again, she's mainly going to be for Sparksy, as far as we know right now, because Sparksy wants to use a bunch of skill points. Sparkle, as of right now, with her new buffs, is going to be amazing with her skill point regeneration, now that her ult is buffed up to 3 and can overcap and restore skill points that way as well. Her skill buffs the ally that is targeted crit damage by 24% of her crit damage, plus an additional 45%. And then with the new buffs for her A3, it also gives 10% res pen, again on the new Ascension trace. The new Ascension 3 trace also gives 45% attack to the team just for being there, which is again awesome for Sparksy because she skills off her elation that increases with attack. Then her ult, while also restoring 6 skill points when overcapping, restores skill points when consuming skill points, which again helps with SP economy. And then also buffs Cypher buff from her talent, not the character, by 5%. So it will be 8% instead of 3%, which is fantastic. That's per stack, by the way. Sparkle's early investment is very good for the team because her light cone, so S1, gives 10% crit rate and 28% crit damage to the team, while also giving herself 32% crit damage, overall increasing her buffing capabilities. Her new E1 also buffs allies' attack by 40% when they have the Cypher buff, which is hopefully all the time, while also giving Sparkle 15% speed. Sparkle is going to be a great unit for the team starting out because she has great SP generation and overall revamped utility to be more generalized and to synergize with Sparksy and maybe potential new Elation characters. Now, ending this video, I just want to remind you guys that these are just to help you get started until we get more characters into 4.x, because they will probably be replaced as we progress into 4.x, but will be a great start for your Elation team as of 4.0. So just please keep that in mind and don't get too hyper invested into these characters when we don't know what characters are going to do going forward. But when we do know, I will make sure to let you guys know. Let me know, who are you guys excited for, Sparksy or Yao Guang, or Evanescia like myself? Let me know who you're pulling down below. I'm going to be trying to pull and test every character with their light cone. So like, comment, subscribe if you want to see that content, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Good luck on your pulls.